Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage from my time with the PKP Pecheneg. Once again, I'll be answering some of the questions left on the main video's comment section. So, wasting no time, let's get right to the first question. Sneaky Ninja 623 asks, Hello Xbox Ahoy, I know you get asked this all the time, but on Black Ops, what's your favourite weapon? And you can't say the FNFAL. Oh, that's a tough one. On reflection though, I'd probably have to say the FNFAL. Elmo Edits asks, once you finished your MW3 or Black Ops series, could you start a World at War weapon series? I think those would be really interesting. Well, I have considered going back to both COD 4 and World at War, but I think an entire series would be a bit of a hefty undertaking, so I'm not sure how likely that is. I may revisit them at some point for a one-off special. Ikimono says, Stu, if you had to choose between a scone and your hot beverage of choice and a donut and your hot beverage of choice, which would you choose? If we're talking with a hot beverage, I'd probably have a scone, as long as there's lashings of cream and jam. Although, don't get me wrong, I do of course enjoy a donut. As far as the beverage is concerned, I'm not much of a tea drinker. I don't mind it, but I'd sooner have a coffee. As far as the milk issue is concerned, I will take milk in your bog standard coffee. But if it's a decent coffee, I'll have it black. Phonil01 asks, when is the next time to kill? I don't think you've posted one in a while. I'm taking a bit of a break with them. I've sort of stopped doing them so I can consider my options. I think I will revisit Time to Kill before Black Ops 2 is out, but that's depending on my availability and how things pan out. I'm actually considering wrapping up the weapons in Modern Warfare to focus on finishing the Black Ops weapon guides. And believe it or not, if I stop playing MW3 for a while, I start to miss it, kind of. So once I've wrapped up the weapons of Modern Warfare, which will probably be at 10 episodes, I think, I'll probably think about revisiting Time to Kill after that. Olio Productions asks, Hey Stu, why are they called light machine guns, even though they're the heaviest of the lot? Well, light machine guns are light in reference to heavy machine guns and general purpose machine guns. Now, the machine guns of yore were kind of giant mounted guns on tripods and bipods and such like big, heavy, non-portable weapons. So a light machine gun is kind of something that fills the same role but can be man-portable. As a general rule of thumb, they are designed to fire intermediate rounds like the 5.56 NATO round, normally from belts and normally in a sustained fashion. The boundaries aren't entirely clear. For instance, the Pecheneg fires a full-size rifle round, so it can be a light machine gun, but it can also be a general-purpose machine gun. Really, it comes down to more the role that the weapon is used in rather than the weapon itself. Rockaholic Films asks, Xbox Ahoy, would you swap your current job on YouTube for anything? Well, sure. I'd probably swap it for a pile of money so vast that I would never need to work again. As far as swapping my YouTube work for another job, I couldn't think of anything specific that I'd like to switch out for. I'm pretty happy with the YouTube stuff. It's nice to have the creative freedom. Something Blue 22 says, I played against him in free-for-all. He was using the PKP. I was hoping he'd use some footage from the game, but sadly not. And he rage quit, so we only had one game. You got a pretty loose definition of rage quit. I don't think leaving in the intermission lobby counts. Going to the bathroom or getting a drink? Rage quit! Ex-Floating Tug says, if you could stay in one country in the world forever, where in the world would you stay? Probably the UK, because, you know, it's home and I'm familiar with it and it's comfortable enough. I could quite happily live in America as well, I suppose. Pretty much anywhere in Western Europe would be fine by me. Somewhere with decent beers, Belgium maybe. Victor the Kid asks, even though you don't own a PS3, which PS3 exclusive can only be one interests you the most? Why? And will you buy a PS3 just to purchase that game alone? Well, I actually do have a PS3. I don't think I bought it on the strength of one particular game, but maybe a couple. The first game I bought with it was GT5, so maybe that's one selling point. But I've also been playing Uncharted. I've got to say, Uncharted's pretty gosh darn good. Resistance, less so. I was fairly disappointed with Resistance. Crockkiller7 says, guys, if you were in a shop that had every single game ever made, but you had to pick one, what would you pick? I suppose that kind of boils down to what's your favourite game of all time. Although, if you can only have the one game, you better pick a game with decent replayability, I suppose. In either case, my favourite game of all time probably has to be one that I've played in a variety of incarnations since 1992, which is Sid Meier's Civilization. I started out playing Civilization AGA on the Amiga 1200. Might have been later than 92, could have been 93. And to this day, I mean, I played Civ 2, Civ 3, Civ 4, and of course I have Civ 5, and I just bought Gods and Kings, so yeah, it's essentially it's the same game. It hasn't changed that much. The details change, the units, the presentation, but the core gameplay is basically the same. So I mean, I've been playing Civilization for 20 years, and I'll probably play it for 20 years more. Emad4 says, Xbox Ahoy, what's your favourite LMG and why? In Modern Warfare 3, I'd probably have to say the MG36, because it best suits aggressive use of the LMGs. It handles slightly faster than most, and as such, it's probably the easiest to win a free-for-all with. As far as favourite LMG from all of the CODs is concerned, I'd probably have to say the All Gauge Bar from MW2. I like that thing. Great iron sights, massive damage, and a nice quick reload. All round, good gun. The Bad Cheese Monk asks, Xbox Ahoy, do you use any accessories when playing Call of Duty, e.g. a headset or custom controllers? As far as the controller is concerned, I use a stock wireless controller. I've also used wired controllers in the past. I do prefer wired for the lack of batteries. And for my headset, since the MW2 days, I've used the Astro A40s. They're not bad. I mean, the headphones aren't as good as my my music listening headphones, so sometimes I'll swap out the actual Astro headset with my Grados or my Bayer Dynamic DT770s. They're my music listening headphones, and they do give better sound quality than the Astro headsets. But the headset itself is okay, and it's got the built-in microphone. And the mix amp is very good. I like the mix amp. Alright, next up, Ace of Aces 007 says, Hey Stu, which weapon guide series did you find easier to produce? The Black Ops guides for YouTube or the MW3 guides for Elite? The Black Ops guides take longer, so I suppose in that sense they are harder to produce. But the MW3 guides for Elite, they were produced at a much faster pace. I think the entire series was done in the space of about 3 or 4 months. And when you've got 50 videos to produce, a month-long trip to LA, the actual production of those videos was very intense. Which is why my output went a bit quiet from January through to March. I was burnt out on that schedule. So to answer the question, I probably found the Black Ops guides easier to produce, but that's because I had a full week to do a single episode. GS218 says, You owe the folks a TTK. I owe you nothing. Banana Putt 222 says, Dear Xbox Ahoy, do you prefer the playstyle of MW3, infantry-centered, small maps and fast-killing guns, or BF3, vehicles, large maps, and slower-killing guns, and more realistic in general? Not sure on Battlefield 3 being more realistic. Both games are pretty out there in the realism stakes. But I do generally prefer the faster-paced infantry combat you'll find in COD. I like shooting people in the face with guns. And while I don't dislike the vehicle style of things in Battlefield, I do find in order to enjoy that you do need a few people to play with. Lone wolfing in Battlefield 3 it kind of sucks. And unfortunately that's often how I like to play. Oh, we've run out of footage. Let there be cats. Alright, let's rapid fire the rest of these. Anthony Stephanie says, Stuart, soup or salad? Soup. STGX Banana says, Stuart, I was wondering, is Weapons of Modern Warfare the same thing as Behind the Lines or two completely different series? They're different but allied. The Weapons of Modern Warfare was designed to be kind of a compact series with a gameplay focus on the visuals, but it's certainly in the same vein as Behind the Lines. SFG95 says, why do you play free-for-all? Because I like it. Mr. Roddo 1971 says, Hi Stu, rich tea or digestive? Digestive. Wally 1994 says, Stu, what do you think of the Dragonov after the patch? I hated it first, but I totally love it now. I haven't used it post-patch. You know, I struggle to unlock everything before the patch. And then they go and change it, make it easier. Ugh. Alright, last one. Thunderbolt22810 says, Okay Stu, I posted this on tons of videos and you haven't replied. Please reply this time. Activision has had you lend a voice for some stuff. Do you think they would ever have you voice a character in the campaign, or do some sort of cameo Easter egg with you? Like Red vs. Blue in Halo 3. If they offered you this, would you accept? Well, I haven't been offered anything yet, but the decision for casting really comes down to the studio themselves. So I'd have to woo Infinity Ward or Treyarch And most of my relationship is with the guys who are responsible for overseeing the elite stuff. Would I accept a cameo if offered? Of course I would, yeah. I'd love to be in a COD game. It'd be fun. Well, that's all the questions I picked out. Coming up next is the Beverage Guide Express on Friday, of course. And then after that, on Sunday, we've got another Black Ops guide coming. This time it's the crossbow. The week after that, we'll be back for another episode of the Weapons of Modern Warfare. As I mentioned, I am going to wind that up soon. We've got the MP7 after the crossbow. And then I'm going to do one more special episode after that. And then I'll be focusing on the Black Ops stuff, finishing Behind the Lines, and a couple of episodes of Time to Kill, if I get time to kill. Anyway, I hope you join me for those, and until then, farewell.